They thought the Terrans would play fair. The humans were soft, bound by rules and treaties. But when Amphitheans spat on peace and demanded war, they discovered what humanity was truly capable of. Not just weapons, not just madness, but something far more terrifying: strategy. The atmosphere inside the Grand Assembly Chamber was thick with tension, the air humming with the low-frequency vibrations of Namphuthian breath. The Terran delegation sat stone-faced, their uniforms crisp, their eyes calculating. Across the oval obsidian table, the towering Namphuthian representatives loomed, each standing over 10 feet tall, their glistening gray hides pulsating with bioluminescent signals of agitation. "Is intolerable," boomed High Priest Drunal, the Namphuthian lead delegate. His 3 primary tentacles slammed onto the table, causing a deep metallic thud to echo through the chamber. "We refuss the Terran proposal." The Terran leader, Ambassador Ralston Kane, adjusted his dark jacket and remained composed. "Let's not be hasty, High Priest. Surely a diplomatic solution. Diplomacy is a human lie. You offer talks while building your fleets. This is not the time for monkey SSS chatter. This is war. This is time for extermination." There was a pause. The Terran delegates looked at one another, exchanged brief, unreadable nods. Kane stood slowly, brushing off his sleeve with deliberate calm. "If you'll excuse me, High Priest," he said politely, "a brief word with my colleagues." The atmosphere inside the Grand Assembly Chamber was thick with tension, the air humming with the low-frequency vibrations of Namphuthian breath. The Terran delegation sat stone-faced, their uniforms crisp, their eyes calculating. Across the oval obsidian table, the towering Namphuthian representatives loomed, each standing over 10 feet tall, their glistening gray hides pulsating with bioluminescent signals of agitation. "Is intolerable," boomed High Priest Drunal, the Namphuthian lead delegate. His 3 primary tentacles slammed onto the table, causing a deep metallic thud to echo through the chamber. "We refuss the Terran proposal." The Terran leader, Ambassador Ralston Kane, adjusted his dark jacket and remained composed. "Let not be hasty, High Priest. Surely a diplomatic solution. Diplomacy is a human lie. You offer talks while building your fleets. This is not the time for monkey SSS chatter. This is war. This is time for extermination." There was a pause. The Terran delegates looked at one another, exchanged brief, unreadable nods. Kane stood slowly, brushing off his sleeve with deliberate calm. "If you'll excuse me, High Priest," he said politely, "a brief word with my colleagues." As Kane stepped away, the human delegation formed a tight circle, voices low and precise. "They're serious?" whispered Commander Layla Shepard, head of tactical operations. "Dead serious," Kane replied. "I counted 3 references to extermination, 2 to their goddess, and a whole lot of tentacle twitching. That's Namphuthian for a blood oath." "We get the go-ahead?" asked Lieutenant Hong, already tapping on a secure tablet. Kane sighed. "Not yet. Let's play this out. Push the red button when I say." They returned to the table. Kane flashed a practice smile. "So, to confirm, you're declaring total war on the Terran Confederation?" "Yes," Dronal hissed. "Your very existence offends a goddess. Your hot-blooded wastes are an abomination. And you reject adherence to the Geneva Accords as amended for interspecies warfare." Dronal's tendrils flared. "The mere idea of ruleless in war is madness. We fight as the goddess commands us." Kane nodded. "Just wanted to clarify." Behind him, 2 Terrans brought their hands together above their heads, a silent signal. One passed Kane a datapad. "Last chance," Kane said. "You sure you want this war?" "War. War without boundaries." Kane pressed the red button. A low chime sounded from Kane's datapad. He grinned. "Excellent. I tell you, our scientists have been begging for this opportunity. They're still finalizing the rollout plan, but as of now," he paused dramatically, "in approximately 5 Terran minutes, we'll begin deploying a 3-pronged attack. 1/3 of your colonized worlds will receive tailored pathogens, biological agents engineered to exploit non-Terran DNA. The second third will experience a chemical cocktail we've been saving for a special occasion. The final third, well, that's for field testing some other xenocidal innovations we've developed. Shock rippled across the Namphuthian delegation. Their eyes widened, tentacles curling involuntarily. In 7 nanocyclists. Impossible. You cannot deploy war in so short a time. Kane shrugged. Instant interstellar communication. Side effect of a failed experiment to link stellar cores for a regional nova bomb array. Funny story that. Nova bombs? You are insane. Absolutely, Kane said, his smile widening. You should see what we've got in R&D. The Namphuthians were paralyzed. Their species prided itself on power, divine destiny, and centuries of absolute military dominance in the outer spiral arms. Yet here they sat, overwhelmed not by firepower, but by the calculated madness of humanity. Your weapons violate the code of all sassacred war. Dronal bellowed. Yeah, Kane replied. You mentioned the goddess. Still not impressed. Dronal turned to his aides. They huddled together, frantic pulses of color running across their bodies in panicked communication. 2 younger Namphiths began to twitch uncontrollably. Another vomited a foul-smelling fluid from its secondary mouth. You have 3 minutes left, Kane said, tapping his wrist calmly. We will never bow to fear. Dronal spat, but his voice cracked. There must be relais, reassurance says. There aren't, Kane said. You declared a no-rules war. That's the game now. The Namphuthian leader slumped, a long sigh whistling through his spiracles. We will surrender. Unconditionally, the silence stretched before Dronal answered. Unreservedly, but with hope. Kane didn't even flinch. He simply slid the datapad forward. Signature here, here, and here. Oh, and your subordinates too. One by one, the Namphuthians signed, their tentacles dragging as they left the chamber. The door sealed behind them with a hydraulic hiss. A beat passed. Then Kane turned to the rest of his team. High five, gentlemen. They bought it. Shepard laughed. Nova bombs and superpathogens? That's some sci-fi bullshit even I wouldn't buy. Why are Xenos always so gullible? Hong mused. It's like they can't grasp that our madness is methodical. Kane tucked the datapad into his coat. They assumed we'd break every law. So they believed everything else we said. That's the human advantage. We weaponize perception. Outside the grand assembly chamber, the galaxy kept turning. The Terrans returned to their ships, calm and collected, while the Namphuthian armadas stood down, paralyzed by a war that never happened. Back on Earth, the Boffins were still tinkering. The Nova Bomb project had been shelved decades ago. The interstellar communication upgrades were barely out of testing. The pathogens? Mostly bluff, based on theoretical models. But it didn't matter. The Terran Confederation had won. Without a shot fired. Without a single drone deployed. Just words, tone, and the terrifying willingness to go further than anyone else believed possible. And that was the most human weapon of all.